Good afternoon, everyone. We're Team One, and today we're going to tackle a very powerful question. Why do people resist feedback? And how can managers actually help them to change? We all know that feedback is meant to help you improve, but it often makes us feel uncomfortable or even threatening. And when that happens, it stops being helpful. In the next few minutes, we'll break down the psychology behind feedback's resistance. Let's start with what goes wrong and why so many people push back against feedback in the first place. Now to the root of the problem. According to Gallup, 70% of employees say they would work even harder if they felt more appreciated. But instead, most experience feedback as criticism. Psychologically, it's a threat. Our brain triggers flight or fright response, making us either defensive or disengaged. They'd also have an ego threat when feedback feels like a personal attack instead of a professional suggestion. And then there's cognitive dissonance. We tend to reject anything that challenges how we see ourselves. So, even helpful feedback gets filtered out, not because people don't want to grow, but because their brains are wired to protect and not to improve.
As for the psychology behind it, our cognitive biases are why our brain filters feedback irrationally. Anchoring biases are when we fixate on the first or most negative part of feedback we're receiving. The commitment bias is when we tend to resist changing our approach because we've already invested so much time or effort into it. And the availability heuristic is when one emotional or recent incident would skew our perception of the feedback we're getting. As a result of this, we tend to misjudge the intent or severity of the feedback we're getting. As for the emotional threat response, this is why feedback can feel so personal. This is because it triggers the fight or flight response, leading to stress, anxiety, and defensiveness. And feedback can feel like a threat to our identity and not just our performance. And this can make us feel as though we're under attack, even though the intention is constructive. And as a result of this, we tend to shut down or push back instead of listening. And next, there are the mindset challenges. People with a fixed mindset tend to see feedback or receive feedback as criticism on a failure or flaw of theirs, leading to an avoidance or defensiveness because they see it as a threat. While those with a growth mindset tend to see feedback as an opportunity for learning, and it can lead to reflection and further improvement.
Instead of just pointing out mistakes, managers should try to build a real partnership with their employees. When we avoid blame and show genuine interest in what's going on, it helps people to feel safer and more open. Having honest conversations where employees explore their own reasons to grow is much more effective than just telling them what to fix. Asking questions that can be answered with a simple yes or no also gets them thinking deeper about their challenges and goals. And by really listening, repeating back what someone says in our own words, we show we understand them. When managers do all this, feedback stops being something people fear and becomes a positive, supportive talk that actually motivates them to improve.
How can organizations overcome these barriers? The first step is adapting a growth mindset language. Managers should frame feedback around learning, effort, and future improvement, focusing on development, not judgment. Second, behavioral nudges can make feedback part of daily routines. This includes small prompts like Slack reminders, calendar check ins, or peer recognition programs, helping normalize regular feedback. Finally, using feedback like 15.5 or Microsoft Teams creates a structure for an ongoing two-way conversation. These tools encourage real-time feedback, goal tracking, and development-focused dialogue. Together, these elements build a culture where feedback feels supportive, not threatening. Here's a quick example of how language changes can make feedback more effective. Before, old style feedback. You missed the deadline again. This is unacceptable. Figure it out. This approach is vague, critical, and leaves the employee defensive with no clear action plan. After, feedback using nonviolent communication and growth mindset. I noticed that the deadline was missed. I understand that can be stressful. To meet our team goals, let's sit down and create a plan to help you manage timelines better moving forward. Example shows how evidence-based communication models create psychological safety and encourages behavior change.
We have talked about feedback and how it applies in daily life and the workplace. Now, let's look at what a strong feedback culture can bring. First, it boosts employee engagement. Clear feedback helps people understand explanation and stay focused instead of getting lost in confusion and emotion. Second, It improves performance. When people are more engaged, their work naturally improve. Third, it reduces turnover. When employees feel valued and supported, they are more likely to stay and enjoy their work. Fourth, it encourages innovation. Open feedback builds trust and makes people more comfortable sharing ideas. And the last one, it helps people adapt to change. When feedback is part of the culture, change feels less threatening and more like a chance to grow up.